The alien medical bay was always busy, filled with strange creatures from many worlds. But today, something unusual happened, something that would change one nurse's life forever. Nira, an alien nurse with soft blue skin and bright silver eyes, was cleaning the instruments when the door suddenly opened. Two guards entered, dragging a stretcher. On it lay a wounded human soldier, his uniform torn, his body covered in dust and blood. Nira froze for a moment. She had never treated a human. Before, humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and most aliens only spoke about them with fear or curiosity. Some said humans were dangerous beasts. Others whispered they had strange bodies that did not follow the rules of science. The guards placed the stretcher on the medical bed. One of them said in a rough voice, "He was found near the battlefield, still alive, but his body is strange. Be careful, nurse." Then they left. Leaving Nira alone with the human, she stepped closer. Her hands trembled slightly. She had treated soldiers before, reptilian warriors, insectoid hunters, even massive stone-skinned giants, but never a human. She leaned forward, studying his face. His skin was pale compared to her kind, his hair messy, and his chest rose and fell with each breath. He was alive, but weak. Nira took a deep breath and began her work. She carefully scanned his body with a medical device. The screen showed broken ribs, bruises, and strange heat in his lower body. She frowned. Strange. Why is there so much energy here? She whispered to herself. Her training told her to keep calm. She had to treat his wounds first. She placed healing gel on his chest and wrapped his ribs with bandages made from nanofibers. The human groaned softly, opening his eyes for just a moment. His gaze met hers. Nira stepped back. Her heart jumped. His eyes were unlike any she had seen before, deep and brown, filled with something she could not name. It was not fear, not anger. It was life, raw and unbroken. "Don't move," she said softly. Though she was not sure if he could understand her language, to her surprise, he gave a small nod before closing his eyes again. She continued working, but as she moved her scanner lower, across his body, her silver eyes widened. The strange heat reading grew stronger. Glowing red on the screen, she touched the device again, thinking it was broken, but the numbers did not change. Incredible. "What is this?" she whispered. Her people had studied many alien species. They had records of thousands of different anatomies, but nothing like this. Was it a tumor? An infection? Some hidden parasite? Her heart raced as she leaned closer, carefully pulling away part of his torn uniform to check the area. For a moment, she just stared, her mind refusing to believe what she saw. This was not in her medical books. This was not in any training she had ever received. The inflammation looked alive. Her hands shook as she almost dropped the scanner. She pulled back quickly, her silver eyes wide with shock. "What? What is this creature?" she whispered. Her voice echoed in the empty room. The human groaned again, shifting slightly. On the bed, Nira jumped back as if caught doing something forbidden. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had to decide, should she call the chief doctor or keep this secret for now? She looked at the human's face again. His expression was calm despite the pain. There was something vulnerable about him, something that told her this was not a disease trying to kill him, but a natural part of who he was. Still, why did it feel so shocking? Nira sat on the chair beside him, unable to pull her eyes away. Curiosity burned inside her like fire. She wanted answers. She wanted to know why humans were so different, why they carried secrets hidden inside their bodies. For the first time in her career, she felt afraid of knowledge. What if she discovered something she was not ready to understand? The human's breathing slowed. He was falling asleep, his body weak, but healing. Nira whispered to herself, "You are not like the others. And I don't know if that makes you dangerous or special." The medical bay was silent, except for the steady hum of the machines. Neera folded her hands together. Her duty as a nurse was clear: treat the patient, record the details, and report anything unusual. But something inside her told her not to report this. Not yet, because this was no ordinary patient. This was a human, and already he was changing everything. The next morning, the medical bay was quiet. The alien nurse Neera entered with her tools, ready to check on her strange patient. She thought about him the entire night, replaying what she had seen. That inflammation in his body still haunted her mind. She told herself it must be an infection, something dangerous that could spread. Yet, deep inside, she doubted her own training. Something about it had not looked like sickness. It looked different. She walked closer to the human's bed. He was still unconscious, his chest rising and falling with slow breaths. The bandages on his ribs glowed softly as the nanofibers repaired his bones. His face was pale, but stronger than yesterday. Neera picked up her scanner. Her hands trembled as she pointed it toward the same area she had checked before. The screen flashed red again, showing strong heat in his lower body. The numbers rose higher than before. Neera's silver eyes widened. It's still there, and growing stronger, she whispered. She quickly checked his heart rate normal. She checked his blood pressure stable. Every other part of his body seemed fine. Only this strange swelling refused to go away. Her training told her to call the chief doctor at once. But something inside her resisted. If she reported it now, the human might be treated like a dangerous experiment. The other doctors might cut into him, test him, to maybe even end his life just to learn his secrets. Neera bit her lip. Her heart raced. She had to know more before deciding. Carefully, she pulled the blanket aside. Her gaze fell on the swollen part of his body. She froze, her mind spinning. This is not a wound. It's something else, she whispered. Her fingers shook as she brought the scanner close. The machine beeped, showing strange movements inside, like blood rushing fast through hidden channels. Her breath caught in her throat. Alive. It's alive, she muttered. Was this a parasite growing inside him? Was it some human defense mechanism? The human groaned. His eyes fluttered open slowly. He looked at her, confused. His lips moved weakly. Where am I? Neera stepped back, embarrassed that she had been staring at that part of his body. She quickly pulled the blanket back to cover him. Her cheeks turned pale blue, the alien version of blushing. You are safe, she said quickly. You are in the medical bay. You were wounded, but I treated you. Rest now. But the human shook his head. He struggled to lift himself up on his elbows, though his body trembled from weakness. No. Tell me, what's wrong with me? Neera hesitated. Should she tell him what she saw? Should she ask him about the strange swelling? But what if it insulted him or made him angry? She chose her words carefully. There is something unusual inside your body, near your lower region. It is swollen, and it carries too much heat. It looks dangerous. The human blinked at her. For a moment, he looked stunned. Then, suddenly, he laughed. Though it was weak and painful. You mean that? He said, pointing toward the covered area. Neera tilted her head, confused. Yes, that? What is it? Is it an infection? Shall I remove it? The human laughed again, shaking his head slowly. No, nurse. It's not an infection. It's normal for a human male. Her silver eyes widened. Her hands tightened around the scanner. Normal. That is normal. She whispered. She could not believe it. No record in her medical database had mentioned this. The human coughed, then smiled faintly. I guess your people don't know everything about us yet. Neera's mind raced. Her entire training collapsed in that moment. What she had thought was dangerous was, in fact, natural. She felt a mix of relief and shock. Relief that he was not dying, but shock that his body could react in such a strange way. Still, questions burned inside her. But why? What does it mean? Why does your body grow like this? The human turned his head, avoiding her gaze. His ears turned red, clearly embarrassed. It's complicated. Let's just say it happens when certain feelings rise. It's part of reproduction, part of being male. Neera's mouth fell open slightly. Her silver eyes sparkled with disbelief. She leaned back, whispering to herself, "So, it is not a sickness, it is life, a part of your species' way to survive." The human gave a weak smile. Exactly. Silence filled the room. Neera sat down slowly, still holding the scanner. Her heart beat fast. She had seen many strange creatures, studied countless alien bodies. But nothing had ever surprised her like this. She whispered softly, "No wonder so many are afraid of you. Humans carry mysteries even science cannot predict." The human closed his eyes again, too tired to speak. Soon he drifted back into sleep. His breathing steady and calm, Neera sat there for a long time, staring at him, her curiosity burning brighter than ever. She knew she could not keep this discovery hidden forever. Soon others would notice. Soon rumors would spread. But one thing was clear. This human was no ordinary patient. He was a key to secrets that could shake the galaxy, and she was the only one who had seen the truth first. Asterisk. The human slept quietly on the bed, but Neera could not rest. Her silver eyes stayed fixed on him, replaying the words he had spoken earlier. "It's normal." For a human male, he had said, "normal." The word echoed again and again inside her mind. How could something so shocking, something so strange, be called normal? She had studied medicine all her life. She had read records of thousands of alien species. She knew how insectoids reproduced by laying eggs. How reptilian warriors carried fire inside their throats. How gas breathers survived without lungs. She thought she understood the galaxy. But now, one human soldier had destroyed all of her knowledge in just a single moment. Neera leaned back in her chair, her hands pressed against her face. She whispered to herself, "What else do I not know? What other secrets do humans hide?" Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps outside the door. The other nurses were arriving for their shift. Neera quickly covered the human again, hiding any sign of his condition. She forced herself to stand tall and calm. As two alien medics walked in, one of them, a tall insectoid nurse named Krail, clicked his mandibles. "So this is the human. Strange creature. I heard he was wounded near the battlefield. How is he?" Neera hesitated. Her mind raced. She'll tell them. Should she mention the strange swelling she had discovered? But something inside her told her no, not yet. She forced a small smile. "He is stable, his ribs are healing, his blood flow is strong. He only needs rest." Krail leaned closer to the bed, his compound eyes scanning the human. "I wonder why. Commanders want him alive. Humans are unpredictable. Some say they are cursed. Their bodies carry dangerous instincts." Neera's heart tightened. She hated the way he spoke, as if the human was not even a person, just a dangerous animal. She quickly changed the subject. "He needs quiet. Let us not disturb him." The other medic shrugged and left the room. Krail followed slowly, but not before giving Neera a long look. "Be careful, Neera. Do not get too close to him. Humans. They changed those around them when the room was silent again." Neera let out a breath she had been holding. She sat back down beside the bed, staring at the human's face. He looked peaceful now, his lips slightly parted, his chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. He didn't look dangerous at all. He looked fragile. She whispered softly, "Why do they fear you? Why do they call you cursed?" But of course, he did not answer. Hours passed. The human awoke again, his brown eyes meeting hers. He looked tired but alert this time. His voice was hoarse. "You didn't tell them, did you?" Neera shook her head. "No, I did not. If they knew, they would treat you like an experiment. They do not understand." The human gave a weak smile. "Thank you, nurse." Neera tilted her head. "What is your name?" "I cannot keep calling you human." He coughed before answering. Daniel. Neera repeated the word slowly, tasting it on her tongue. Daniel. It sounded strong, yet simple. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Tell me, Daniel, is it true? What you said earlier, that your swelling is natural, not dangerous?" Daniel's ears turned red again. He looked away. "Yes, it's true. It happens to every human male. It is part of how we reproduce." Neera's silver eyes widened. She still found it hard to believe. Her heart pounded as she asked, "But why does it happen without warning? Even when you are hurt?" Daniel gave a small laugh, though it turned into a cough, because humans are strange, I guess. Sometimes our bodies react before our minds can stop it. It's embarrassing, but normal. Neera sat in silence, her mind spinning with more questions. Why had no one documented this before? Had no alien ever studied humans closely? Or had they hidden the truth on purpose? She leaned back, whispering, "So many things about you are unknown. So many mysteries." Daniel looked at her, his eyes serious now. "And maybe that's why your people fear us, because you don't understand us, because we don't fit into your science." His words cut deep. Neera realized he was right. Fear always came from ignorance. Her people feared what they could not explain, and Daniel was living proof of that. She stared at him for a long time, then asked softly, "Do you hate us for treating you like an experiment?" Daniel shook his head. "No, nurse. I don't hate you, but I don't trust easily either." Silence fell between them again, filled only by the hum of machines. Neera's hands trembled. She wanted to ask more. She wanted to understand him completely, but at the same time, she feared the answers. Because with every question she asked, she realized something dangerous. The more she learned about him, the closer she felt to him. And that closeness was something no nurse was supposed to feel for her patient. Still, she could not stop herself. Her silver eyes softened as she whispered, "You are more than I expected, Daniel, more than they told us, and I want to know everything." Daniel closed his eyes again, too weak to reply. But a faint smile remained on his lips, and Neera knew, deep inside, that this was only the beginning, because one human had already filled her heart with questions. Questions that had no easy answers. The night was long in the medical bay. But Neera did not leave her post. She told herself she stayed because it was her duty. But deep inside, she knew there was another reason. Curiosity pulled her closer to the human every passing hour. Daniel's condition was stable now. His wounds were healing faster than expected. Humans were stronger than they looked, resilient in ways she had never seen before. Still, that strange inflammation in his lower body haunted her mind. Her training repeated in her head like a warning. A nurse must remain professional. A nurse must not get emotionally involved with a patient. But Daniel was not just a patient, he was a puzzle her science could not solve. Neera sat by his bed, watching him breathe. She whispered softly, "You are changing everything I thought I knew." Her thoughts were interrupted when Daniel stirred. His brown eyes opened slowly, catching her silver gaze. "You're still here," he said weakly, his voice a mix of surprise and relief. Neera straightened, pretending to be formal. "It is my duty to monitor you." Daniel gave a faint smile. "Duty, huh? Or maybe you're curious." Neera froze, heat rushing to her cheeks. How could he read her so easily? She looked away. "Curiosity is dangerous. It leads nurses to make mistakes." He chuckled softly, though it turned into a painful cough. Curiosity isn't always bad. Sometimes it saves lives. His words struck her. She tightened her grip. On the scanner in her hand, torn between the strict rule she had followed her whole life and the strange pull she felt toward this human. Finally, she asked the question that burned inside her. Daniel, why do humans hide so much about themselves? Why is your biology so secret, even from allies? Daniel's eyes darkened. His smile faded. Because knowledge is power, nurse. If others knew everything about us, they would use it against us. Maybe even destroy us. Neera fell silent. Her mind raced. She realized now why her people had no record of the inflammation. Humans had kept it hidden, protected it as part of their mystery. Still, she could not stop herself. But if we do not understand, how can we help you? How can I heal what I do not know? Daniel looked at her seriously. Maybe you're not supposed to heal everything. Maybe some things are meant to remain human secrets. Those words stung. They built a wall between her duty as a nurse and her hunger as a seeker of truth. But Neera was not ready to give up. She leaned forward, whispering, I do not want to harm you, Daniel. I only want to understand. For a moment, Daniel just stared at her. His deep brown eyes seemed to search her soul. Then, slowly, he nodded. All right. I will tell you more, but you must promise not to share it with the others. Neera's silver eyes widened. A secret. Between her and him alone. Her heart pounded. She hesitated, but then nodded. I promise. Daniel closed his eyes briefly. Gathering strength, then he spoke quietly. That swelling you saw, it's not a disease. It happens when a man's body reacts to certain emotions. Attraction, desire, even sometimes instinct. It's part of reproduction, part of how we survive as a species. Neera's breath caught in her throat. Her hands tightened around the chair. She had guessed it before. But hearing it from his own lips made it real. Her voice trembled. So, it is connected to feelings. Daniel opened his eyes, meeting hers. Yes, two feelings. Her heart raced. She quickly looked away. Her mind a storm of thoughts. If his body reacted to emotions, then what had triggered it while he was lying injured? Was it pain, fear, or her? The thought made her chest tighten in a way she did not understand. She stood suddenly, trying to shake away the feeling. This is too much. I should not be hearing this. I should not even be asking. Daniel smiled faintly. And yet, you. Neera clenched her fists. Torn between her oath as a healer and the forbidden curiosity that grew stronger with every word he spoke. She whispered to herself, duty says, I must stop. But my heart refuses. She turned back to him, her silver eyes burning. Daniel, I will keep your secret, but I need you to know something. You are not just a patient anymore. You are something more. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with questions neither dared to answer. Then the door to the medical bay hissed open. Another nurse entered, calling Neera's name. She quickly straightened, pulling the blanket higher over Daniel's chest. Yes? What is it? She asked sharply. Hiding her emotions, the nurse bowed slightly. Chief Doctor requests your report. He wants every detail of the human's condition. Neera's heart skipped a beat. Every detail. That meant she would have to mention the strange swelling, but she had promised Daniel. She could not betray him. She nodded stiffly. Tell the chief I will prepare it soon. When the nurse left, Neera turned back to Daniel, her face pale, her hands shaking. She whispered, What have you done to me? You have placed me between duty and curiosity, and I do not know which path I can follow. Daniel gave a tired smile. Maybe? You don't have to choose. Maybe sometimes. Both can exist together, but Neera knew it would not be so simple, because from this moment on, she was no longer just a nurse. She was a keeper of a dangerous secret, and curiosity was already winning against duty. The medical bay lights dimmed to a softer glow as the night cycle began. Most of the other patients slept, but Neera could not calm her mind. She paced back and forth beside Daniel's bed. Every step heavy with conflict, her promise to Daniel. Still echoed inside her, she had sworn to keep his secret. Yet the chief doctor wanted a full report. One path meant betraying him, the other meant breaking her duty. Finally, she sat down beside him. Her silver eyes studied his face. He looked peaceful, his chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. Humans looked so fragile. And yet she had seen his body survive injuries that would kill others. Her thoughts swirled. Why do I care so much? He is just a patient, isn't he? Daniel stirred, his brown eyes opening slowly. You're still here? He whispered, his voice soft but steady. Neera gave a small smile. I cannot seem to leave you, Daniel. Even when I try, he chuckled weakly, curiosity again. She looked away, embarrassed. Maybe, or maybe something else. Silence stretched between them. Then, with trembling hands, Neera picked up the scanner again. She aimed it at his body. The same area that had shocked her before, the red glow, filled the screen once more. Her silver eyes locked on the reading. She whispered, it is still there. Your reaction, your body does not calm. Daniel sighed. It will pass. Nurse, that's just how humans are. Sometimes our bodies betray us. Neera's voice was almost trembling. But why does it happen? You said it is part of reproduction, part of feelings. But tell me, what feelings? Daniel hesitated. His face turned red. He looked away, as if the ceiling was suddenly more interesting than her eyes. Attraction, he admitted finally, his voice low. Desire? Closeness. It happens when a man feels those things. The words hit Neera like a storm. Her chest tightened. She whispered, so you mean? When you look at someone, when you feel something for them, this happens. Daniel nodded slowly, not meeting her eyes. Yes, that's the truth. Neera leaned back in her chair, her mind spinning. She thought of the moment she first scanned him, when she had leaned close. Her heart skipped. Was it me? Her silver hands trembled. She pressed them together, trying to calm her racing thoughts. So it was never sickness, she whispered. It was never danger. It was you, Daniel, your body. Speaking a language I do not know, Daniel finally turned his eyes back to her. His gaze was serious. I didn't want you to know. Nurse, I didn't want to make things harder for you. Neera shook her head. No, I needed to know. I needed the truth, because, without truth, I am blind. For the first time, Daniel's lips curved into a real smile. Not a weak one, but soft and honest. Then, now you see me. Not just as a patient, but as a human, Neera's heart skipped again. She whispered, yes. As a human, the room grew quiet, filled only with the hum of the machines. For a moment, it felt like the galaxy had shrunk to just the two of them. Nurse and patient, alien and human, two worlds colliding in silence. But the peace did not last. The door to the medical bay slid open. Chief Dr. Vera entered, tall and stern. Her 4 eyes scanned the room. Neera, report, she commanded. Neera stood quickly, her chest tight. She looked at Daniel, who gave her the faintest shake of his head. A silent plea. Don't tell. Neera swallowed hard. His wounds are stable. His ribs are healing. Blood pressure normal. His body is strong. He will survive. Vera narrowed her eyes and the unusual readings. The heat in his lower body. Neera froze. She felt every muscle in her body tighten. This was the moment. Duty or promise. Truth or loyalty. Her silver eyes flicked to Daniel, his brown gaze locked with hers. He trusted her more than he should, and she could not betray that trust. She bowed her head. It was a false alarm. Chief, the scanner malfunctioned. I recalibrated it. All readings are normal now. Vera studied her for a long moment, suspicion in her gaze. But finally, she nodded. Very well, continue your watch. She turned and left, the door sliding shut behind her. Neera let out a trembling breath. Her hands shaking. She had lied for the first time in her life. She had broken her oath of truth to protect a patient. Daniel's voice broke the silence, soft but filled with gratitude. You saved me, nurse. Neera shook her head quickly. No, Daniel, I broke the rules. I betrayed my duty, he gave her. A gentle smile. Sometimes protecting someone means breaking rules. Her silver eyes softened. She sat down again, closer to him this time. Then you must promise me something, Daniel. What is it? He asked. Promise me you will not let this destroy me. Promise me that this secret will not burn my life. Daniel nodded slowly. I promise, Neera. She closed her eyes, relief washing over her. But deep inside, she knew this was not the end. This revelation had only opened the first door. Behind it lay more mysteries, more truths, and she was ready to face them. Because one human had shown her that sometimes the greatest danger was not disease or death, but knowledge itself. And once knowledge was revealed, there was no turning back. The next day began with tension in the air. The medical bay was busier than usual. Soldiers came and went. Wounded aliens filled the beds. And yet Neera's thoughts stayed locked on Daniel. She had lied to the chief. Doctor, something she had never done in her career. Every time she replayed that moment, her chest tightened. What if they find out? What if they test him anyway? Daniel slept quietly, but his presence was no longer a secret. The staff had begun whispering. Nurses passing by his bed slowed their steps, exchanging curious glances. Some even whispered behind Neera's back, "Why is she always with him?" One voice murmured, "Humans are dangerous. She is foolish to stay so close." Another hissed. Neera tried to ignore them, but every word sank into her chest like a blade. Later that afternoon, while adjusting Daniel's bandages, Neera overheard. Two young medics standing at the far corner. Their voices were low, but her sharp ears caught every word. "They say the human's body is strange," one said. "I heard Nurse Neera discovered something shocking, but she won't report it." The other replied, "Maybe she is hiding the truth. Maybe she's too close to him." Neera's hands froze. Her silver eyes narrowed. She turned toward them sharply, and the medics quickly looked away, pretending to be busy. But the damage was done. The whispers had started spreading. Daniel noticed her tense posture. He opened his eyes and spoke softly. "They're talking about me, aren't they?" Neera sighed. "Yes, they don't understand, and fear always creates rumors." Daniel gave a weak smile. "It's not new, nurse. Wherever humans go, fear follows." She looked at him sadly. "But you are not a monster, Daniel. You are just different," he chuckled faintly. "That's enough for them to hate me for the rest of the day." The whispers grew louder every time Neera stepped out of the ward. She felt the eyes of her colleagues on her back. Questions she could not answer filled the air. By evening, the chief doctor returned for another round of inspection. Vera's 4 eyes scanned every patient before stopping at Daniel. She walked closer, her expression sharp. "Still alive, I see," she said coldly. Neera bowed her head slightly. "Yes, Chief. His recovery is progressing." Vera's gaze lingered on Daniel for too long. Strange. Humans heal faster than expected. But his readings are odd. "I want another full scan tomorrow." Neera's heart sank. Another scan meant the truth would come out. The inflammation could no longer be hidden. Her hands clenched at her sides. But she forced her voice to remain calm. "Yes, Chief." When Vera left, Daniel looked at Neera, his eyes serious. "You can't protect me forever," he whispered. Her chest tightened. She whispered back, "I don't care. I will try. Even if it costs me." But the truth was, she was afraid. That night, as the ward grew quiet, Neera stayed by Daniel's bed. She lowered her voice, almost trembling. "Daniel, why did this happen? Why did your body react in front of me, not in front of anyone else?" Daniel's face flushed. He looked away. "Because maybe it was you, nurse." Her silver eyes widened. Her chest froze. "Me?" she whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. "I don't know why. Maybe because you cared. Maybe because you touched me gently when no one else did. Humans, we react to feelings even when we don't want to." Neera's breath caught. She pressed her hands against her chest. Her heart was racing too fast. She whispered, "Then it was not sickness, not instinct. It was me." Daniel's eyes met hers, full of honesty. Yes, for a long moment, neither spoke. The silence between them was heavier than words. But outside, the whispers were still spreading. By the next morning, 3 medics cornered Neera in the hall, their expressions sharp, their voices filled with suspicion. "Why do you protect him?" One demanded. "What did you see, Neera? Tell us the truth," another hissed. "You are hiding something. We will report you to the chief if you don't confess." Neera's heart pounded. She looked at them with firm eyes. "My duty is to heal patients, not to gossip about them. If you cannot trust me, then you are unworthy of this uniform." The medics glared, but stepped back, yet their whispers only grew louder after that. When she returned to Daniel's side, he noticed her trembling hands. "They're turning against you, nurse," he said softly. Neera forced a smile, though her chest ached. "Let them. I will not betray you." Daniel reached out weakly. His hand brushed against hers, warm and human. "You already risked everything for me." Her silver eyes softened. Her voice barely a whisper, "And I would risk more." But deep inside, fear gnawed at her. Tomorrow's scan would reveal everything. The whispers in the ward would turn into shouts. The secret she had tried so hard to protect would burst open, for all to see. And when that happened, Neera knew she would no longer be just a nurse. She would become the alien who stood between the galaxy and one human's truth. The morning came too quickly. The medical bay filled with the low hum of machines and the steady footsteps of nurses beginning their shifts. But for Neera, the sound only meant one thing today: the truth would be exposed. She had hidden Daniel's secret as long as she could. But the chief doctor had demanded another full scan. And this time, no lie would protect him. Neera's chest felt heavy as she stood beside his bed. Daniel looked stronger today, his eyes clearer, his wounds nearly healed. But the worry on his face mirrored her own. "They'll find out today," he whispered, his voice calm but edged with resignation. Neera clenched her hands. "Not if I can stop them." Daniel gave a faint smile. "You can't fight the whole ward, nurse. They'll see the truth, one way or another." Her silver eyes softened. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Then, let them, but they will not shame you, Daniel, not while I stand here." Before he could answer, the door slid open and Chief Dr. Vera entered with 3 assistants. Their eyes were cold, sharp, filled with curiosity and suspicion. Vera's voice rang across the bay. "Prepare the human for the scan." The assistants moved quickly, adjusting machines around Daniel's bed. Neera stood stiff, her chest tightening as she held the scanner in her hands. She felt every eye in the ward watching, the whispers rising like a storm. "Now," Vera commanded, "show us the truth." Neera's silver fingers trembled as she lifted the scanner. Daniel's gaze met hers steady, unafraid, but filled with silent trust. In that moment, Neera made her decision. She aimed the scanner. But instead of projecting the raw data, she pressed a hidden override. The screen flickered, altering the results. It showed perfect readings, stable organs, steady blood flow, nothing unusual. Gasps filled the room. The medics leaned closer, confused. But the rumors. The heat readings? Vera's 4 eyes narrowed. Strange. Perhaps the earlier results truly were an error. Neera bowed her head respectfully, her voice calm, though her heart pounded. Yes, Chief, the human's body is unusual, but not dangerous. His healing. It's simply faster than we expected. The Chief studied her for a long moment, suspicion lingering in her gaze, but at last she turned away. Very well, we will end observations tomorrow and transfer him back to the field. Nurse Neera, continue his care until then. Yes, Chief, Neera replied, her voice steady, though. Relief flooded her chest like a storm breaking. When the others left, Daniel turned to her, his voice low. You lied for me again? Neera sank into the chair beside him, whispering, yes. And I would do it again 1,000 times, for a moment. Silence filled the bay, heavy but warm. Daniel reached out slowly, his hand resting over hers. His touch was gentle but firm, a silent bond forming in that small gesture you've risked. Your career, your honor, for me, he said softly. Neera shook her head. No, Daniel. I risked it for the truth, because I see you as more than what they whisper, more than what they fear. Her silver eyes locked with his deep brown gaze. You are not a curse. You are not dangerous. You are simply human. And that is enough. Daniel's lips curved into a faint smile. The kind that held both gratitude and something deeper. And you, Neera, are the first alien who ever tried to understand us. Her heart raced. She whispered, maybe because I wanted to. Or maybe because I had to that night. The whispers in the ward changed. The medics still spoke about the human. But now their voices carried doubt. Maybe he is not cursed, some said. Maybe he is just different. Neera knew the rumors would never truly die. But she also knew something important had shifted. By protecting Daniel, she had planted a seed. One that could grow into understanding. As the medical bay grew quiet, Neera sat beside Daniel. One last time, watching his steady breath, she thought about her duty, her broken oaths, her dangerous curiosity, but none of it felt like regret. Instead, it felt like the beginning of something greater. Daniel opened his eyes once more, his voice soft. When I leave tomorrow, will you forget me? Her silver eyes softened. She shook her head slowly. No, Daniel, I will not, because you have given me something no book or training ever could. What's that? He asked. She smiled faintly, the courage to see beyond fear. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, alien and human. Two species divided by galaxies, yet connected by something stronger than biology. Stronger than rules, a bond beyond species. And though Neera knew the galaxy would never fully understand, she whispered to herself, let them whisper, let them laugh. For I have seen the truth, and the truth is worth any risk. The machines hummed, the lights dimmed, and in the stillness of the ward, a fragile but unbreakable bond was sealed.